Some firearms become iconic because of what they accomplished, others because of when they were created. And then there are firearms that become recognizable simply because, well, nothing else quite looks like them. The IWI Tavor X95 belongs in that last category. It's compact, unconventional, immediately recognizable, and underneath that unmistakable silhouette is decades of firearm development and a very different approach to what the modern rifle could be. And tonight, we're taking a closer look at the IWI Tavor X95. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Operator's Tasting Lounge. I'm Noah, and if this is your first time here at the lounge, well, the lounge is all about slowing things down and appreciating firearms, knives, spirits, and gear from a different perspective. The history, the design, the craftsmanship, and sometimes just the little details that make something worth having in a collection. But before we get started, I want to say thank you to every single person who subscribed to my channel. Whether you've been here from the very first video or you just found the lounge, I genuinely appreciate you. And to everybody watching who hasn't subscribed yet, what are you doing? No, thank you for being here too. Every view, every comment, and every subscriber helps this channel grow. So one thing real quick before we talk about tonight's rifle is obviously the Tavor has Israeli origins. But this isn't a discussion about geopolitics or choosing sides. As always in the lounge, we're simply appreciating the firearm's history, design, engineering, and craftsmanship. And with that said, let's talk about the X95. Before there was an X95, before there was even an IWI, there was Israeli Military Industries, or IMI. The manufacturing lineage behind today's Israeli weapon industry stretches all the way back to 1933, when IMI began firearms productions during the British Mandate period. Over the decades that followed, the lineage would become responsible for several firearms that became recognizable far beyond their country of origin. And probably the most famous is the Uzi. The first Uzi prototype was developed by Uzziel Gal around 1950, and the design would eventually become one of the most recognizable submachine guns ever produced. Then came another familiar name, the Galil. Adopted in early 1970s, the Galil established another major chapter in IMI's rifle development history. And then, in 1990, came a handgun that many firearm enthusiasts will immediately recognize, the Jericho 941. But for tonight's story, the real important date is 1994. That's when development began on an entirely new rifle concept under the designer Zalman Shibs. That project eventually became the Tavor. And you certainly couldn't accuse them of designing another ordinary rifle. In 2005, IMI's small arms division was privatized, creating the company we know today as Israeli Weapon Industries, or IWI for short. And that's an important little distinction when talking about the company's history. IWI itself isn't a company that has existed since 1933, no. Rather, it inherited a firearms development and manufacturing lineage stretching back that far. The Tavor's family continued evolving, and in 2013, IWI US brought the commercial Tavor SAR to the American market. Then, in 2016, American shooters got the next evolution of the platform. The rifle sitting here tonight, the Tavor X95. Now we get to my favorite part of the Tavor story. because if you've never seen one of these before, your first question might be, why does it look like that? And there's actually a very practical reason. The X95 is a bullpup. Now on a conventional rifle, the magazine and most of the action sit right in front of the trigger. On the Tavor, you look back here, it sits behind the trigger, and the trigger is like right here. And by rearranging the rifle that way, IWI can package a standard length barrel into a considerably shorter overall firearm. This X95 configuration has a 16.5-inch barrel, yet the entire rifle is only a little over 26 inches long. And that's the genius of a bullpup concept. Instead of shortening the barrel to make the rifle dramatically shorter, they rearranged the rifle around the barrel. You don't need to understand anything about gas systems or bolt designs to appreciate what happened here. Just look at the proportion. That's the engineering achievement. And this is where I think the X95 gets particularly interesting from a craftsman's perspective. Because when we hear the word craftsmanship, we often picture something traditional. Beautiful walnut, hand-cut checkering, deep bluing, engraving, and I love all of that. I've featured firearms in the lounge where traditional craftsmanship is a huge part of their appeal. But craftsmanship can also look like this. Modern materials, precision manufacturing, complex shapes, everything designed to fit together into one cohesive package. Look at the exterior of the X95. A huge portion of what you're seeing and touching is high-strength polymer. And that allows IWI to create this complicated shape where the handguard, grip area, receiver, and rear portion of the rifle visually flow together. There's very little about the X95 that feels like somebody took a bunch of separate components and bolted them together. It feels like one object. And I think that's a really important distinction, because the engineering isn't impressive simply because it's complicated. It's impressive because the finished product makes the complexity look simple. And once you start looking closely, you've seen some clever details. You've got this long Picatinny rail running across the top, perfect for mounting an optic. But hiding right inside the rail are your backup sights. Folded down, you could almost forget they're there. But raise them, and you've got a rear aperture and front sight. I love things like this. It isn't flashy. Nobody's buying an X95 because it has cool folding backup sights. I mean, you could. But it's simply a thoughtful little piece of design, and those are the exact details I enjoy finding here in the lounge. And then we get to something I've added to mine. Sitting on top of my Tavor is a SIG Sauer BRAVO5 Prism Optic. And I think it's almost perfect for this rifle. The BRAVO5 gives me a fixed 5-power magnification in a relatively compact prism design. This generation of the BRAVO5 incorporated SIG's Mega View optical design, an etched reticle, and MOTAC, which means motion activated illumination, which activates illumination when it's detected movement and it shuts down after a period of inactivity. And because the reticle itself is etched into the optic, you're not completely dependent on the illumination just to have a visible aiming reference. But there's another reason I put this on the rifle. Look at it. Tell me that doesn't belong on this Tavor. The BRAVO5 has this big, angular, almost futuristic appearance. And then underneath it is one of the most distinctive modern rifle designs ever made. They just work together. Now I know somebody's gonna be watching and saying, Noah, you're just choosing optics based on how they look? No, of course not. Not entirely. I mean, this is the operator's tasting lounge. Looks do count around here too, you know? And I think that's ultimately why I wanted the X95 in my collection. I'll be completely honest, nothing else really looks like it. You can take the logos off, put it across the room, and you'll still know what you're looking at. That's something I really appreciate in firearms. It's the identity. I love firearms that also have a story. I love firearms that represent an interesting period of development. And I especially like firearms that aren't simply another variation of something I already own. And the X95, it checks all of those boxes. You can love bullpups, you can hate bullpups, but it's difficult to look at this and say IWI didn't commit completely to the concept. And I respect that. Now, of course, it wouldn't be Operator's Tasting Lounge without tonight's pairing. And for the X95, I choose Johnnie Walker Black Label. Now, there's no geographical connection I'm trying to make here. I choose Black Label because I think its character fits the rifle. Hear me out. Johnnie Walker Black is a blended scotch made from whiskeys matured for at least 12 years, bringing together whiskey from different regions of Scotland. There's sweetness, fruit, vanilla, spice, and underneath everything, that recognizable touch of smoke. It's sophisticated without being delicate. It's complex without being intimidating. And then there's a certain darkness to it that I think works perfectly with the personality of the X95. The Tavor immediately gets your attention because of how it looks. But spend a little time with it and you begin discovering the history and the thought underneath the exterior. Black Label is similar. At first, scotch, smoke, but slow down, and there's considerably more happening underneath. And really, that's the entire idea behind this channel. Sometimes appreciating something simply requires taking the time to look a little closer. The IWI Tavor X95 isn't a traditional rifle, obviously. And that's precisely what makes it interesting. The lineage stretches back through decades of firearm development. Its bullpup architecture approaches the rifle design from a completely different direction. Its use of modern materials shows us another form of craftsmanship. And its unmistakably silhouette gives it something that I think matters tremendously in any collection: its identity. Add the SIG BRAVO5, and this becomes one of the most distinctive rifles in my collection. Not because it's trying to look different, but because its appearance is the result of the engineering decisions behind it. Form following function and producing something pretty damn cool along the way. So now I want to hear from you guys. What's your take on a bullpup rifle? Is it a brilliant way to package a rifle? Or are you guys sticking with the traditional layout? And here's an even better question. If you could put one bullpup in your collection, what would it be? Would it be a Tavor, an AUG, a P90, or something completely different? Let me know down in the comments. I read them all, I reply to them as soon as I can. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the Operator's Tasting Lounge. And once again, to every single person who's already subscribed, thank you very much. I really appreciate you helping me build this channel and this community. Once again, I'm Noah, and this is the Operator's Tasting Lounge. Until next time, pull up a chair, pour yourself a glass, and welcome to the lounge.